Hey everybody, welcome back to This Old Trike. Today we're going to do a question and answer that I promised you guys back at the very end of the year. I thought I would get to things a little bit sooner than I have, but I've been busy. Lots of stuff going on. I cleaned up my shop, but as you can see, stuff's dirty again. I'll explain that a little bit, but I had made a post in the community and I got a lot of questions from people and I've printed them out. So I'm going to take a minute just to touch base with the guys that left questions and get you the answers you were after and do a little show and tell in the process because some of these questions will have to show you something to get them answered. So let's get started. So I'm just going to freestyle this tonight. I don't have my gimbal, so I don't have my tripod. So I'm just going to hand hold it, and it might be a little bit boring. So that being the fact, I'm going to dedicate this episode of This Old Trike to my one of my most favorite viewers, Scott Wilson. These are his favorite formats, the where I talk a lot and don't really do much format. So, Scott, this is for you. Hopefully one of these questions is yours, but I don't recognize any of these names as being yours. I think these are in the order that they came in. If they're not, then I don't know that it matters. I will explain my 250R motor here. This is the one I built in my kitchen. In my last video, I've pulled the cover off because the clutch actuator lever over there, I cleaned it up, but it just wasn't pretty enough. Thanks to Mike Palmgren, this motor is super duper pretty, and I didn't want subpar looking parts on it, so I've sent a bunch of stuff out to be plated, and that's what's going on, and that's why that's apart. Just in case you were wondering, that wasn't a formal question, but now let's get to these questions. This first question is from Exploration Overdrive 9137. I don't know who you are, but here's your question. My question: if you had to sell all your ATCs and could only keep one, which one would you keep? So this question is one of Matt from Garage MC's standard questions when he's doing his Quad Talk Live. I got the privilege to be on that. Garage MC, if you haven't checked out his channel, go check it out. He's been interviewing a variety of people. The last three have been three-wheeler people, so it's been Trike Talk on Quad Talk Live, Wednesday nights at 8:30 Eastern. Next week, this coming week, is Lou Batello, I believe, but he's done me. Then he did MRC Builds, and then just last week, this current week we're in, he did Nick from West Michigan Motorsports. But he asked that question too. So what machine would be the one I keep if I had to sell them all? And it was a tough question. And I think what I ultimately ended up saying was, if I had to boil it down, my sentimental nature would drive me to keep my 85 250R, the white one. Now let me show you real quick how that one stands right now. So this one is the next one I'm getting together. So that's the motor. We've done it. We turned it from black to how it looks now. We're going to assemble this thing. I just got the last pieces of the puzzle that I think I'm going to need. That swing arm, the gold, is going to become silver. I got to get this all cleaned back off again, but I've deleted all the gold. It's got white carbon fiber, looking fenders from Meyer. I got cheetah tires. If I had it to do over again, I would be buying Serwa tires, because the guy that runs this is a little cuckoo. Only get your three-wheeler, your 250R reprops from Serwa tires from now on. Travis Gisclair DA Restorations. Can't speak highly enough about those guys. Bringing a lot of cool tire designs and grab bars and cool things. But what am I saying? So this is a resto mod, and it's basically, I'm not trying to make an 87 250R. I just wanted to make it a nicer version of what I did when I was in high school. I've owned this thing since 1997, and so got a lot of history with it. And because of that, that's why I think this would be the one I would keep. Even though I'm a 350X guy, this is probably the one I would keep. Even though 250Rs aren't my favorite, but this one's the most sentimental of the bunch. Good question, Exploration Overdrive. Next question comes from the dude 988. What years and models do you still need? Or do you have them all covered? A collection is never done, always upgrading to the best, but will you start collecting all the Hondaline accessories next or start on the four-wheelers? And when do you stop with four-wheelers? So that's a question, and it makes me think of a license plate that my dad had on one of his old cars. He collected old cars, and over the years, from about 86 until he passed in 16, he collected 8 cars. At one point, he had 9 and a bus. But when he passed, he had 8. But one of them, on a 34 Ford, the license plate is no end to it. And he'd always say, where does it end? No end to it. But that was his license plate in his car. For me, in this collection, my goal was to get one of each model, year, and color of Honda three-wheeler because I like three-wheelers. They're my thing. I've had mini bikes. I've had Z50s. I've had CT70s. They're cool. Not my thing. I don't want to have all the CT70s. It might be cool to have like a pit bike, one to poke around on. That'd be fun. We'll get a moped too. Whatever they are, the Express NC50s, I think they're cool. Alyssa Allman was on one at my event, and that was really cool. I know Kyle Vollers from Old School Hondas has one. I don't know that I want to pursue all the four-wheelers because that's a slippery slope. I've got 3 of the 4 years of 250X. It'd be cool to have an 87 just to say I got them all, but I don't necessarily know that I want them all. I wanted a 91 because I had one back in the 90s, the 1900s. But no, I don't want to get each one. It's too much. I have too many as it is. Do I want to get all the Hondaline accessories? Not necessarily. It's nice to have, the jewelry that goes on the machines that you could have got. I'd like to get one of those Chrome 200S racks because you never see those out. It's cool. I like to add things as I can. Anyway, I don't want to belabor that question, but good question from the dude 988. So where do you stop? I think I stop with three-wheelers. I might pick up something here and there down the road, but it won't be for any specific goal. Fun on the Farm asks, so the common man might ask, when do you stop buying them? However, my question is, what's next on the list? Got to be getting close to them all. So as I said, I got them all. The last one was the 84 200E from Finland. There is a video I'm going to cover, and I'm waiting for somebody to get me some video, kind of in line with like Super Reds. I don't want to tip my hand too much and get people asking questions, but like I've got them all, but I don't have the Super Reds. I have all years of 250 ES, and a Super Red is a 250 ES. Big Red, an 88 Big Red from England is a 250 ES. So that's the line I'm drawing for myself. There was a 250 SX variant that is still a 250 SX, and I've got concrete evidence that I have all the years, contrary to some not claims, but assumptions that are out there. But that video is going to come out soon. But what's next on the list? I don't know. You're going to see a video coming out. I'm going to do a lifted 200M. Going to do a Noah Olson kit on that. I want to get my Big Red with the 350D motor in it that I picked up from my buddy Dustin Bartley. I want to finish that build. I don't know. I don't know that there's any three-wheeler that I want that I don't already have. Be cool to have like a nice, like modern 4x4, like Vinny Staffa's got, you know, like a nice modern four-wheeler. That'd be cool to have. Like if I want to go for a ride, but my wife doesn't want to ride a three-wheeler, she can ride something nice and modern. It'd be cool to have something for her that she feels comfortable on. But that's it. But I do have them all, and I don't really, there's not a three-wheeler that's out there that I'm like, oh, I wish I had that. Thank you for the question. Fun on the farm. The next question, Sniper Gods 99. My questions would be, when will you be getting the super cool Bandido going? The Bandido is actually sitting outside right now. It will get going. Let's talk about up and coming things real quick. Okay, so this is my focus. I want to have this done. I don't know if I can make it by the end of the month because I've got some stuff off at plating. I don't know if it'll be back in time, but this is number one focus. Number two focus is going to be the 88 Big Red, which sits over here. And the motor, I'm gonna send my motor top end and case covers to Mike Palmgren and have him work his magic on it. Before I do that, I've bought some better glass bead. I'm gonna focus on getting the center cases looking nicer, and then I'll take the top end off. And I got different case covers from a buddy. 87 case covers are the same. These are very heavily pitted. And like the little fine screws that hold these black plastic covers on, I can't get them out. So I've got donor covers from an 87 that I'm going to use to replace that. So this is the New Kids on the Block poster, in case you were wondering. I just have that there because. But the 88 is going to be next, but there might be some downtime while I'm waiting on some things. The Bandido, I'll show you. The Bandido sits right there. These are the fenders. Getting snowy. But waiting in line. I got to get this out of here. I got to put a brake cable on. I'm detailing the frame. I was actually waxing the frame. Like I waxed that. Look how nice that looks. But I want to do that to the rest. I bought some forks from Gary Yonkers for the front end of this. I want to have those powder coated and put on. I don't know that I'm going to do that in front of the Bandido. I don't know. So when? I don't know. I got to get the brake drum off. The brake drum is like stuck on it, on the Bandido. And I've got some parts out there. It's cold where I keep a lot of my parts. I'm sure we'll be out there to answer a couple more questions, but it's cold out there, and a lot of the stuff I'm going to need for the Bandido is probably going to be out there. So I want to have it done this winter sometime. We'll say that. We'll see how things go, because there's more projects than what I even mentioned to you. So that was the first question. Also, what parts are interchangeable between second gen 110 and 125M? So the cosmetic parts, tanks, fenders, forks. So the 125M is electric start, and so it's got a battery. And because of that, they couldn't route the muffler in the center of the frame like they did on the 110. They had to put it on the outside. So mufflers are different. Motors obviously are different. The frames, I had a frame around here. The frames going off the cuff, I believe, would have to be different because one's got a battery box and one doesn't. But the cosmetics are the same. Seats are the same. Handlebars, wiring harness would be different because one's got the battery. But fenders are the same. Headlights are the same. Wheels and rims. Wheels are rims. Rims and tires are the same. I hope that answered your question there. Final question is, do you own a complete 200M with all chrome Hondaline accessories that were offered? I've been curious to see another example besides MRC builds because of how rare the parts are. That's a great question. let's do some show and tell. Old MRC Builds sent me a birthday present 2 birthdays ago. Here's the chrome headlight guard off his, and here's the chrome rack off his. So I am in possession of that rack. And this is actually a black rack for a 200M. You'll notice it's got these little knobbies on the bottom for bungee cords. So this would fit a 200E, 200ES. Pretty confident. But those don't have these. So this was a Hondaline Accessory. In this box, which I was going to open, but I'm not going to, I bought a chrome rear rack on eBay for a pretty reasonable amount for a 200M. And that is to replace the chrome rear rack on the back of this 200M, because if you look at it, let's get normal here. You notice it's a little weird. It's a little wonk down on this end. This machine's in really clean condition, nice shape, but I think it was hit hard on this corner and it got pushed up. So I think if I took that off and put this other rack on it, it would correct that. It's got something going on in the front. I want to put the chrome front rack on this one. I don't know if the forks are bent or if there's a twist in the frame. But it's nice, but it's got some issues. So I want to get this in the shop. I'm going to bring all three of these in the shop. So this is my 85. I stole some parts off this when I did the 200E. This is a 84 I got from Red Mike at my event. It's got original rims and tires in nice shape. Those are going to go on the 85. So then it'll be back on three wheels. The black rack that I just showed you in the other room is going to go on the back. Those fenders are kind of yucky. That fender got stolen to go on the 200E that I took parts off to make the one from Finland nice. But I've got a new old stock fender that'll go on the Finland one, and I can put the one that's on the Finland one on this one. You following me? And then I want to find something nicer for actually I want to find a new old stock one for the Finland one, and then I can put that one on this one, and then have a nicer fender, and it'll make this nicer in general. Anyway, and this we're going to make into a mud machine, because that's what I think the 200M is intended to be, 200 mud. But that's my 200M situation. I'm still baffled by why Honda even made these machines. We'll talk more about that when I make the video. So to answer your question, yes, I do have one that will have the chrome racks on, but that's only because MRC Builds was so generous as to send me his. I think there's a question on rare Hondaline accessories coming up, so I'm not going to speak more on that. But let's talk about Hanky Bannister's question. How do you keep track of servicing them so they stay in good condition during storage? How do I keep track? Poorly. I am not the best at having a schedule. I don't have a magic book where I go, oh, I haven't changed the oil in this in whatever year. There's a lot of these I bought and I haven't even ridden. Like a lot of my US 90s, never ridden those. Most of them I've ridden, but there's a lot that I haven't. And since they're not really getting used a lot, the oil, I know what rule of thumb, every 6 months, but let's be real, that's a lot of oil. I'm not going to change the oil if I'm not using these things that much. I do find things I'm like, this ran last time, why isn't it running now? Look at this. This is my milk crate of dead batteries. Some of these are off of machines that came in and they were dead. Some of them didn't last. They were batteries I put in, and because they didn't have a tender on them and I'm not riding them enough, they went dead. I've got new batteries here. This one I think I got to take a charge. This one's never been out of the box, and that's still blinking red. It's not taking a charge. So that's a never-ending battle. So to answer your question, I don't really have a system, and I'm not the best. So just doing what I can do. Now we got Tricycle Guy. When are we going to start a crisis intervention hotline so we can handle higher volumes of questions? That's a great question. I wish I had an answer. Tricycle Guy is going to be on Garage MC Quad Talk Live in the coming weeks, so make sure you tune in. Best way to repair cracked three-wheeler plastics. Okay. It depends a little bit. I'd say in most cases, the go-to fix is that one of those hot staple, those guns that you can put in like a little wavy staple. That's way better than, drilling holes and stitching them. You can melt things in. But the easiest and most cost-effective is the hot staple. There is a gentleman named Phil Cox who is like the man when it comes to plastic restoration, and he will take plastic that looks like you picked it out of a landfill somewhere and make it look brand new. And sometimes he has to fix a crack, and you wouldn't even know. So I don't even know how he does it. He's a sorcerer. He does some Merlin type stuff on it. But the best way, this is Anonymous Person 2981. So I know MRC Builds has a good video on it, a pretty in-depth one. I know we did it last year around this time on my son's 250SX. We did a video on that on one of our ride prep videos. So if you dig through my archives, you'll find that. But that's kind of the go-to method right now. Tom Riddle, WW5ON. Tom Riddle, isn't that Voldemort before he was Voldemort?
Excuse me. Are you Tom Riddle?
I just bought my first trike, Honda 110 from 1982. I've noticed, you haven't done a 110 differences video. I would also like to know what accessories were available for the smaller 110. I think you're right, Tom. I did not do a 110 video. All my 110s are over on the shelf over there and not accessible until warmer weather. So don't expect that until it's nice out. I do want to do that so I can have all of them. That's like the last one. And I haven't done a 200M video. 200Ms have been featured in other videos, but not a comparison video. Because I'm still baffled, like I said. Why did Honda even make this? You got the 200E. You got the 200ES. Why are we doing 200M? What accessories were available? You could get a rack, and the front rack, and the front rack had a little bracket to raise your headlight up. What else? So they stopped these in 82 was the last year. I don't know if there was a Speedo kit. I don't think I've ever seen a fairing bracket to accommodate a first gen 110. I'm not sure that I can think of anything besides the front rack, and that doesn't mean they didn't have other things. I just can't think of any. The first ones would have had a round headlight. I'm not thinking there was much else. I'll do a little digging before I post this, and if I come up with something else, I'll put it over the screen right now. But if you don't see anything right now, I didn't think of anything. Next question. Gunny Minoso 96. I've seen you comment on a bunch of stuff. Would you ever consider one of those Argo Taurus 650 trikes? Also, let's see more 88 Big Red. Well, if you've made it this far, you've already seen 88 Big Red's coming. I definitely got plans. Got lots of plans. Would I consider one of the Argo Taurus 650 trikes? I don't need one. I'm definitely a Honda guy. I really don't care. I mean, I've had a 86 Ducati, sold it, didn't even ride it. I had two Tri-Zs, sold them, didn't ride them. Acquired them with other machines, so Honda's my thing. James Goki Jr. Junior Goki, what machines are you taking to Trike Fest? What's up, Junior? I got my hat from Junior Goki's fiance sitting over there. What machines am I bringing to Trike Fest? I want to bring the 88 Big Red back so it can be in its glory, restored. And I hope PJ Hart brings the Ghetto Pony back so people will walk past that, that glitter bombed, throwback 70s looking, mini three-wheeler and go, wow, that's an 88 Big Red. I need my day in the sun. I'm just kidding, PJ. I don't care, but I do want to bring it back to when I brought it a couple years ago. It didn't look very good, so I want it to have its day in the sun. Probably gonna bring my Rider 350X because that's what I do. I want to bring the lifted 200M. I don't think I'll have my lifted Big Red with the 350D motor in it by the time Trike Fest is ready, so I'm not going to worry about that. I've already promised Palin that she will be coming back, so I'm sure the Ghetto Pony, not the Ghetto Pony, why did I even say that? The Pink Palomino will be coming back. I've got some work to do to that to finish it, so she doesn't have to start it with a screwdriver and jump the solenoid, even though she did get a lot of street cred for that. Those at a minimum. And maybe a hardtail. Well, the 200M's a hardtail. I've never done the hardtail ride at Trike Fest, and I would like to participate in that. So we'll see. Ethan Proco wants to know any thoughts on the Honda CT90s. Yeah? I don't think they look that good. They're kind of weird. That's the Trail 90s, right? The CT90s, Trail 90s. They're funny looking. I've never ridden one. I'd like to ride one, and then I could give a better assessment, but I don't have many thoughts on the CT90s. I am sorry. Lons 2. When did they come out with the water-cooled three-wheeler? So Honda's first year being liquid-cooled was with the 85, and I think they were the first. Or did the first gen Takati, was that 84? Yamaha didn't have liquid until the Tri-Z. Suzuki didn't have liquid until the LT 250R. Was it Kawasaki first with the big ugly radiator on the where the headlight should go, and they said, "Oh, we need to put a headlight on it," so then they put it above that. The ugliest design ever. It might have been that. Either 84 or 85. I'll confirm with a little thing. Gotta do some homework. James Burley, 5995, Burley, recently saw someone post some U-Haul fenders that looked like they fit a 185S. You have any info on U-Haul fenders for trikes? I believe there was an arrangement between U-Haul and Honda. You could rent an ATC 200. I don't know if it was an ATC 185. I don't believe they were S. I know they weren't S. I don't know if they had, in addition to the 200, the S. The ATC 200s they had U-Haul. I think they were fiberglass fenders, and I think Dustin Bartley had one at one point. They're kind of like a white color. I don't know. I'll share pictures if I can find them on here, but that's all I know. But there it was a thing. You could rent a three-wheeler from U-Haul. 80s were amazing, weren't they? Good question, sir. Jeff Mahar, 217. When are you going to get a 350X with the over-fender trim option? And to that I say, Mahardy har har. Jeff's got the nicest example of an 85 350X with over-fenders on it, in my opinion. And he has given me first refusal if and when he ever decides to sell it. We'll see. We'll see, Jeff. The day I get one might be the day you lose one. Maybe. Or not. Maybe something will pop up. Op1zilla has no questions for me at the moment, so we'll just move on. Rusty Nut Shop. What machine would you recommend to start a collection like this? Start with what you like. Start with what's available. I mean, there's a lot of different ways. I think the key is just to start. And that's the key with anything. How do you start a diet? Just start. How do you wait until all the lights are green before you go to work? No, you just get in the car and go. And sometimes you're gonna have to stop. And if you like hardtails, start with hardtails. If you want to start with 350Xs, I'll say this: when I started, it was late 2016, early 2017. And by chance, I started with the sport machines because that's what I wanted at the time. And I'm glad I did, because the way values were rising, I got the expensive machines bought before prices went crazy. So if we can assume prices are going to keep climbing, start with the expensive stuff. Get your wallet out. Things are crazy. Good question though. Toxic Xbox 1825. What are your thoughts on Yamaha Trimoto three-wheelers as far as their design and as a three-wheeler in general? And how would you compare them to Honda ATCs? So the Trimoto, when you picture this, it's like the banana three-wheeler that Yamaha made. What are my thoughts? Well, I think Honda had a patent on motor placement, kind of the geometry of the foot pegs and the handlebars. And that kind of prevented the competition from having like the ergonomic feel that was so nice. So Yamaha had to put their motors further back, which made them lighter in the front. So they were really in my opinion, the ones that were prone to having issues because they weren't balanced very well. There was a lot more Hondas sold because they were better. So I have nothing to justify what I'm saying. But if you take per 1,000 three-wheelers, there was probably more issues because of the poor Yamaha design than there were from Honda machines per 1,000. Could be totally making that up. But they're inferior for sure. If they were better or equal, there would have been more sold. They're uglier for sure. How would I compare them to Honda ATCs? No comparison. They're not as good. And I feel pretty good about that. Old Souls 508. What ATC is most uncommon? And what's your opinion on the 200M? So what's most uncommon? So I think what you're asking, let's talk about rarity. Because I kind of, there's rare machines, then there's uncommon machines, and then there's everything else. Most common, 84200 ES. According to the list, the infamous list that's out there that's missing machines. We take everything on that list with a grain of salt, right? Right. But that list shows that there were way more 84200 ES big reds than anything else. And even if we, put in a factor of, a fudge factor, they come out way ahead. So that's the most common. What's the rarest? In my opinion, I think the rarest has got to be the 84200E, because like nobody knew about it. I probably brought that into the public eye more than anybody else. I've only seen them for sale in Finland. I've only seen them, period, in Finland and Sweden and Chile. Only places I've, through Instagram posts and things like that. And who am I to say this? Well, I'm somebody that scours the internet. I'm always looking at stuff. I'm always like taking in things. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all that stuff. And I've only seen them in those places. So maybe they exist elsewhere, but I think that's the rarest. What's the second rarest? I don't know which is the second. I'm getting all sorts of notifications here. The second rarest, we'll group them together. Probably blue ATC 70s, 8370s Christmas specials, if you allow me to say that. 85200 ES is probably pretty rare. 88 Big Reds seem to be around. They're hard to get because of where they're around. But 88 Big Reds, 87 125Ms, like the one that sits over there, they're probably, are they second most rare? I don't know. Supposedly there was only 800 or so sold, but I've talked to people that are in England and Europe. They said, well, they got a lot of them over there. So I don't know for sure. Those are most of the rare ones. Then you get to the uncommon ones. 87 200X and 87 Big Reds and 250 SXs, 86 200S. They're uncommon. 75 ATC 90s are uncommon because they're hard to find. I know this because I've had to track one of each of these things down, and the ones I had trouble with are those. I think that is the gist of what's the most uncommon. Opinions on the 200M? I don't even know why Honda made them. So they made them 84, 85. So I don't know if they were just using up chain drive chassis, but they're different in some ways from the 200E. I've never done a comparison to see how different they are, but maybe they just had a lot of 200E chassis, but the motor is different because it doesn't have the sub transmission. I don't know if that just means is a 200E motor the same as a 200M motor. It might be, very well might be, if you take that sub transmission off and just put a different left side case cover on it. It's just weird, especially in 84. You could have the 200ES that racks were standard, and for not a ton less, they had the 200M. I don't know. They're weird. Some people love them. I'm on the fence. How do you typically restore ATC wheels? So, as you get older in life, you realize it's easier to have things done. So the easiest way would be take it to a tire shop, have the tire shop pull the tire off for you so you don't have to wrestle it on the floor of your shop. And then you could take the rims to your buddy Mike Wood over at Capital Region Customs and have him sandblast it and powder coat it to the color that you've figured out is the best match to cloud silver in powder coat. And that'd be the easiest way. But you're going to incur cost doing that. If you want to do it on the cheap, you can get a little machine for your shop and tear them down. You can spend a couple hours sandblasting them, and then you can spend multiple trips out to your shop to spray coats of self-etching primer and silver paint on them. How do I typically do it? I've done both, probably in equal amounts. I broke down a batch of rims. I don't know if you can see them up here in the corner. So as I need a powder coated rim, I can fetch one and do it that way. It's actually a little bit darker color. It's the same color that's on this. And this is spray paint. But that's closer to the cloud silver color. This is a little darker. So if you line them up close, you can see. Here, let me turn this around. Spray paint, factory. So it's brighter, but it's fresh. But see how that's darker? Can I get these in the... Here's a look at the front. That's darker. So I don't recommend that color anymore. We got a different one. But this paint is nice. And what is that paint? You might want to know. You can buy... let me tell you this. If you ever see me use something in here and you want to know what it is I'm using, I set up an Amazon store. So you can go to that store and that'll be the stuff. That's not it. That's not it. Where's the silver? What is going on? Is this it? Yeah. DE61 or 1615 aluminum. The cap threw me off, and that's duplicolor engine enamel with ceramic. That is super close to cloud silver. Like I said, I'll post the link in the description to this. You can go to my Amazon store. I don't think it costs you anything, and it supports me, so please have at it. That's how I typically restore ATC wheels, and that was from Major League Surfing. Good question. Rebel King 7302. What parts are interchangeable on an 83 ATC 200? Also, what's the difference between a 200 and 200S? I'm in need of a front rack and starter recoil assembly. Okay. So you've got an 83 ATC 200 that has front suspension. Oh, there's my camera. That has front suspension. So front forks, you can swap out a front fork from a 81, 82, 200, but you won't have suspension, but it'll fit. I believe it's the same front end as a 200M. Let's confirm. Okay, we're back out here in the coldness. Where's mine? Right here. It's right here. So this is 83 ATC 200, 81 and 82's there. So front suspension. This is a aftermarket rack, but there are Hondaline racks that you can put on this. Thinking. So yeah, so you can put a 200M front rack on this because it's the same front end. It is the same front end. Final answer? I believe so. Yes. So same front fender as a 200M. Different front fender than the 81, 82. But everything else from the back is interchangeable. So fenders will swap. Very, very similar to the 1980 185 over here. So these are the ones that you could rent from U-Haul. You could get a U-Haul version of these, and I think they had fiberglass U-Haul embossed fenders. Same tires in 83 as a 200M. 82 and 81 had whammy-last knobbies. That's got XA601s on it. Optional. The tanks are the same as 185S. And I believe 200S. But the earlier ones had smaller fill caps. What's the difference between a 200 no letter and a 200S? They're a lot smaller. Well, they're maybe not a lot smaller, but they're smaller. I don't know if that's what the S means. Small? I don't know. Motors, very, very similar, if not identical. Or interchangeable. Totally different chassis, though. Different fenders. Lots different. More different than not. So I don't know if that answered your question. Maybe I'll do a full video on that sometime. So if you're in need of a front rack and starter recoil assembly, you can get a front rack for a 200M if you can find them. I think I have seen on eBay a front rack for a 200M. 200S front rack is different. That will mount more like this 185S that's in my shop. Boy, it's cold out here. It's warm in here, though. So I think that's your question, Rebel King. Then we got Dave97 Snake. Here's an idea for a video. Top 10 things that you see are done incorrectly on an ATC restoration. That'd be a fun video. Thank you, Dave. I will do that. I like that. Revive, flip, restore. Would you ever consider lifting a Big Red like your Big Bubba? You should put Swamp Outlaws lift kit on it with the big tires. So I did mention we're going to lift that 200M with the white gas tank. And real quick, I'll mention this machine again. So this is my project that the only thing I've done to this is bring it here. But that's a 350D motor. in a modified big red 350D, frame. It's got extensions in the front. I'm getting a swing arm crafted for me for the back, and then it can get into roller status and be finished off. But that's in process, and I got parts for it in a few different places. Answer your question, yes, I would consider that, and I have plans to do that. Plunk 22222. When are you going to build a street legal trike with your friend Jim? I have reason to believe that Plunk 22222 might be my friend Jim. And Jim knows, because we've talked. I wouldn't hold your breath, Plunk 22222. I'm not going to assume that you're my friend Jim, even though when I look at this, it has a J there, almost like your name might be Jim. My friend Jim bought a brand new, was a 450 RL, and bought the kit to convert it from BVC, and told me what the price was, and I was like, ooh, that's neat. I love that story for you. That's what I said to Jim, not Plunk 22222, because I don't know that's him. But that's not my thing. I mean, that'd be cool. The way to get a street legal trike conversion is to buy one that's already built, in my opinion. That's the most economical way to do it. It'd be cool. If money was just coming out of my ears and I couldn't spend it fast enough, all day, I would do that. But look at that 88 big red tank. Isn't that funny? It's just sitting there. But I would do that if money wasn't a thing. But money's the thing. Cranky V, my buddy from up north. I would be interested to know if the rear luggage rack from an 83 185S would fit an 84 200S. So would it fit? Probably not directly. Could it fit? I'm sure you could modify one to fit. The 200S rear rack is a different animal. They look really cool. I don't have one. I wish I did. If you got one you want to get rid of, let me know. Let me show you this 185S. So the front rack is interchangeable. This will bolt up to a 200S. Same rack. The rear rack is different. It mounts. You got to take your grab bar off, and then it mounts down low on the pivot bolts for your carrier adjustment. So that's how this rack mounts. The 200, I think, uses your grab bar. You don't have to remove the grab bar, but you have to drill holes, and you have supports like a 250 SX. So you have the rack knobs. I believe that's how that is. But could it fit? Yes. Will it bolt right up? I doubt it. I don't think I've ever seen one. Good question. Treasure Life 2270. I recently talked to this gentleman on the Facebook. Had a nice conversation. What is the rarest Hondaline accessory? Well, some say it's the chrome 200M front rack. And it could be. We did try to find more examples of that and came up empty-handed. So that's definitely in the running. The chrome 200S rear rack, that wasn't it doesn't go full width. I'll overlay a picture. Like, I don't think I've ever seen one of those out in the wild. Maybe once I feel like I saw one. I'd love to get my hands on one of those because they're just unique. All the rest of them I can think of I've seen. You got fairings are uncommon. Tachometers for 350X are very uncommon and go for a lot of money when you see those. Like Honda line big red front boxes there. You don't see a lot of them, but you see them. but you don't see a chrome 200M front rack. So it's in the running. In Canada, they had an accessory for the 250 ES. It was a block heater. You could plug it in, and it would warm the block on your 250 ES. So that's definitely in the running. So we're down to the last question, and it's not really a question, but it's worth noting, and then we'll end on this. I'm sorry, this is probably way long. But again, dedicated to Scott Wilson from Georgia. This is from YouTube user Jesse Cotner, which is funny. It's the same name as a gentleman that I gave a mullet to at Trike Fest 2 years ago. The first and last mullet I'm ever going to give, and he got it. Live. That was my first YouTube live. Super awkward. I would love for you to answer this. If you had a friend, and let's say his name is Paul, just, wet finger in the air, Paul. And he said in a text that he was coming to Trike Fest all year. So maybe that was multiple texts. He's going to come to Trike Fest all year. And let's say you, being the friend that you are, made sure to rent something with AC so his delicates are okay at nighttime. That's a friend right there. Someone that's willing to do that for another friend is legit. Rent something with AC at nighttime, and that he's comfy, and constantly remind him that he said, and I quote, "I will, no matter what, come to Trike Fest." And then when it comes to it, not come to Trike Fest and back out. Oh shoot, I didn't click the full thing. How would you go about finding new? I think that was new friends. YouTube user 501 comments, "In my defense, you wanted to rent something with only one bed. I don't think my wife would like that." And then Jesse Cotner says, "All the ladies knew that was a boys' trip. No chicks allowed. Plus, I'm not the one who called middle, then backed out." Well, I don't know how to answer that question, if that really was a question at all, or just, one person having some fun with their friend Paul. But I do know that Jesse Cotner did get one BA looking mullet while he sat on my 350X, and it was windy and it was hot. So as hair blew, it stuck to me, got my mouth a little bit. I almost feel like I got it in my mouth right now, but that was funny. Anyway, those are the questions that came in. I thought I could do this in 30 minutes. God knows what this video is. But again, dedicated to Scott Wilson, my biggest YouTube fan. I appreciate you guys watching. I don't know if this is something you want me to do periodically, or if it was boring as crap and you hope I never do it again. Let me know in the comments. Again, check out my Amazon store that I've set up. You can see all the junk I buy and sometimes use. And stay tuned to see this 250R come together. I'm going to be building a platform to do my restorations on, so I don't have to bend over. I'm too cheap to buy a lift. I don't want a lift because I don't want it to be permanently in my shop and in my way. But a platform on casters is what I'm going to be going for. So it'll be pretty and be easy to move out of the way if I need to. And everything's on wheels, so I like that. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.